Yo, what is good, everybody? I'm your boy Jadiro, and this is my spin to win Barbarian build guide. Let's get it. So the first thing we're going to talk about here are the fundamental aspects to make this build work. And the first aspect we're going to talk about here is the aspect of the Dire Whirlwind. What this aspect does is it increases the critical strike chance of Whirlwind from 3 to 9% when channeled. And you're going to imprint this on your offhand weapon to give you a little bit more of a boost to your critical strike chance. The next fundamental aspect that you're going to want is aspect of Echoing Fury. This helps you generate fury while all your shouts are active. And we're playing heavily around shouts this build. And where you're going to want to imprint this is on your ring. And you can find this aspect in the Sirocco Caverns in Kyrgyzstan. And last but not least, the next aspect you're going to want is aspect of Limitless Rage. This buffs the damage of our core ability, which will be Whirlwind. And where you're going to want to imprint this aspect is to your two-handed weapon. You'll get a significant increase to your damage multiplier by putting it on your two-handed weapon. And where you get the aspect of Limitless Rage is by completing Chapter 3 in your seasonal journey. Alright guys, well that does it for all the fundamental aspects. Let's move on to the defensive aspects next. The first defensive aspect I want to talk about here is the Iron Blood aspect. You gain damage reduction for each nearby bleeding enemy. And I'll go into detail later about how this aspect works. However, for now we're going to put this aspect on our necklace piece. And you can find the Iron Blood aspect in the Forgotten Runes in Kyrgyzstan. Next, we're moving on to the aspect of Disobedience. What aspect of Disobedience does is anytime you do any form of damage, it increases your armor, which gives you damage reduction. And you can find the aspect of Disobedience in the Halls of the Damned in Kyrgyzstan. The third defensive aspect we're going to talk about here is the aspect of Might. Your basic skills grant you damage reduction. And we're going to put the aspect of Might on our helmet. And where you can find the aspect of Might is the Dark Ravine and the Dry Steppes. Alright guys, that does it for the fundamental and the defensive aspects. Let's move on to the primary and secondary skills next. Alright guys, so I'm going to go through all the primary skills and then I'll go through the secondary skills. So first we're going to go Lunging Stike, into Enhanced Lunging Stike, into Combat Lunging Stike. This way if we're running low in life, we get some life back, and then we also have a way to activate our Berserking. Berserking grants us 25% increased damage and 15% increased movement speed, and it lasts up to 5 seconds. Next, for our core ability, we're going to go Whirlwind, then we're going to go Enhanced Whirlwind, and then we're going to go Violent Whirlwind. Now Whirlwind can generate fury on its own, and it also does more damage when channeled. Now into our defensive skills, we're going to do Rallying Cry, then Enhanced Rallying Cry, then Tactical Rallying Cry. Now Rallying Cry grants us Unstoppable if we're CC'd, and it also helps us generate fury. Next, after Rally Cry, we're going to go Challenging Shout, then we're going to go Enhanced Challenging Shout, and then we're going to go Tactical Challenging Shout. Now Challenging Shout will grant us damage reduction, it'll also increase our maximum life, and it'll also give us fury every time we're dealt damage. Moving down to our brawling skills, we're going to go War Cry, Enhance War Cry, and Power War Cry. Now War Cry can give us a significant damage buff and grant us Berserking. The next brawling skill we're going to go here is Charge, guys. Go it. It's absolutely busted this season. You have to take it. Then we're going to go Enhance Charge, and then we're going to go Power Charge. Now Charge has the ability not only to do ridiculous damage, it also has the ability to stun, and now reduces cooldown as well. And guys, one thing I forgot to mention here is dump every extra point you can into Charge. Also dump all your extra points into Whirlwind. We're going to go right past Weapon Mastery and right past Ultimate Skills. And the key passive we're going to take here is Unconstrained. Unconstrained gives us an increased duration when berserking, and it also increases the damage bonus by 100%. That's crazy. Definitely take Unconstrained. Alright guys, that does it for the primary skills. Let's talk about those secondary skills next. So the first secondary skill we're going to go here is Imposing Presence. It gives us increased maximum life. But what we really want is Martial Vigor. We're going to dump a full 3 points in this to give us damage reduction versus elites. Next, we're going to put a full 3 into Booming Voice, as this heavily plays around shouts. This will increase the duration of all our shouts. And then we're going to put a full 3 into Guttural or Guttural Yell. This makes all enemies affected by our shouts deal less damage. Then we're going to put a full 3 into Swiftness just for extra mobility. Then we're going to put a full 3 into Aggressive Resistance. This gives us damage reduction while berserking. Then we're going to put a full 3 into Prolific Fury. This increases our fury regeneration while berserking. And finally, we're going to put a full 3 into Battle Fervor. This will help us stay berserking when using brawling skills, such as the new and improved Charge. Now moving down the bracket, we're going to put a full 3 into Pit Fighter. This is going to increase damage to all close enemies, which we're going to be in all the time. And it also reduces the damage from distant enemies. 2 birds, 1 stone. Then we're going to put a full 3 into Slaying Strike, which increases our damage to injured enemies. Injured enemies are enemies below 35% of health. And then we're going to put a full 3 into No Mercy, which increases our critical strike chance to CC'd enemies. Alright guys, that does it for all the primary and secondary skills. Let's move on to the Barbarian Expertise next. So the expertise you're going to want to take is Two-Handed Sword Expertise. What Two-Handed Sword Expertise does is 20% damage of the direct damage we do is inflicted as bleeding. And this will definitely help not only do damage, but it'll also help proc our aspects, like Aspect of Iron Blood. And guys, one thing I wanted to mention here is for your basic attack Lunging Strike, make sure you're using your one-handed weapons. This is because if you're ever in a bind, Lunging Strike can help you get health back. And you want to have the quickest attacks possible. That's just a quick side tip. Alright guys, that does it for expertise. Let's move on to that Paragon board next. So guys, one thing I want to mention here real quick, you really only have to get Exploit. This is just to make sure that all our attacks make enemies vulnerable. And fortunately enough, you can use Exploit on your first Paragon board. As you can see, I'm still leveling up my Paragon board, and this is the one that matters the most. Now, the only other rare glyph I suggest you go is Martial. What this will do is every time you use a shout, it will reduce the cooldown of your non-shout skills. So basically what this will do is every time you use your shouts, it will reduce the cooldown of your charge. And what's even better is we already have the chance to reduce the cooldown of charge. So with Martial stacking, it's going to be up all the time. Once I get later into the game and I get to level 100, I'll go over a full Paragon board explanation. Alright guys, that does it for the Paragon board. Let's move on to what gems you should take and the Seneschal next. Alright guys, as for gems, in the armor slots, always go rubies. I'm working on getting some better rubies, but it increases your maximum life, which increases your survivability. So as for the weapons, always go emeralds for this build. This will increase your critical strike damage to vulnerable enemies. And with us using the rare glyph exploit, all the enemies at all times are going to be vulnerable. And as for the jewelry guys, always go skulls. Skulls will give you a flat increase to your armor, which reduces the physical damage you take. Alright guys, that does it for gems. Let's move on to that Seneschal next. Alright, so there was a patch recently which buffed the Seneschal, and I do see it now taking damage, and not only taking damage, it's dealing damage too. But the main stones that I'm using right now are Flash of Adrenaline, which gives us a significant damage multiplier. And then I go Tempest to make the Seneschal feel like it's actually doing damage. Alright guys, that does it for the gems and the Seneschal. Let's move on to the wave clear and single target damage next. Alright guys, here we are, my favorite dungeon of them all, the dope tunnels. Let's get right into it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to rally up some of these enemies, and then I'm going to go through the rotation and the wave clear demonstration. Let's get right into it. Alright, here we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to charge, start off, and then I'm going to pop all my war cries. And then I'm just going to whirlwind and melt everybody left. Charges up again, pop it. Pretty simple. Just keep your eye on charge, and look at that. You're going to be clearing rooms like nothing. So here we are at the boss. I'm going to demonstrate the single target damage of this build. Same thing as usual, guys. Pop all our shouts. Make sure all our buffs are active. Get our charge off. Oh, I totally whiffed the charge there. That's okay. We're just going to spin to win until our charge is back off a cooldown. Pretty sweet. Some auto attacks in there. Boom. Charge just almost half health them. Crazy. Boom. Lunging strike. Shouts are back up. Let's go. Spin to win. Easy. Hilarious. And there you have it. Single target damage. Alright guys, that was the wave clear, single target damage, and rotation demonstration. Let me show you the best place and the best way to get loot and XP. So once you get through the main quest, you'll unlock the vaults. And the vaults is not only the best way to get XP, but it's the best way to get loot. I'll demonstrate that next. Alright guys, here we are. We made it to the vault. I say for your Zoltan's Warding, always go 40. And this is my demonstration of a speed run for the vaults. And you're going to see the XP and the loot we gain too. Alright, so basically you just want to run through it as quickly as possible. Maybe stop for a little bit of XP, but you know, try and run through as quickly as possible. Try not to get caught. And try to avoid the traps while you're doing it. It's not that hard, honestly. I don't know why people... I'm sure it gets harder as you get higher up in level. But what's really going to be your savior here is your charge. That's going to get you out of the most trouble. So this is basically what I do when I do these vaults, because the biggest reward is at the end. Also, if you can happen to catch your enemies with your charge, that's also a huge benefit. So what you want to do is you basically want to get through here as fast as possible. And of course, these enemies have suppressor on them, so I'm trying not to diddle daddle too much. And I'm trying to get through this to show you guys a good demonstration. Yeah. There we are. Just trying to make sure I don't die. Trying to do this in one clean run. Alright, so there's the door. It's locked, so we have to go find the key. And I don't see too many people demonstrating this. I mean, I haven't seen any build guides or anything on it yet, so I'm happy I get to do this, and hopefully this helps somebody out. There it is. So the treasure chest is the key. Alright. And all the traps come out. We gotta get that key and hopefully not die. Might be 1 or 2 deaths. I doubt it. What I'm doing is I'm just trying to get through to the end. So there we are. I'm at 33. So as long as you have those Zoltan's warding stacks, you get all the rewards at the end. Boom, we're in the door. And then we get into this thing called the amphitheater, where we have to basically survive for a certain amount of time. And I'll show you guys a little bit of a shortcut on how to get through it, or not bypass it, but the best way I found that helped.
I must wait.
All right, here we go. So let's restock up on potions. Oh, sorry, that's not it yet. We got to get into the amphitheater first. I think that's what's called, the amphitheater. Here we go, another suppressor. Boom, clobbered. All right, here we go. So we got to survive this for 30 seconds. So what I do is I typically just stay on the out. I just kind of wait till the timer runs out, and I kind of just scale the perimeter. And I just kind of pop my potions depending on what the mark is. And every so often I'll run in with my charge. Wait for it to come off cooldown. I don't want to get hit by those traps too much, right? Oh, they got wall or 2. So we got 8 more seconds to go here. Just going to run around the perimeter. Wait for the timer to run out. Boom. Now we can kind of jump in and have fun. So you see how strong charge is, right? Like I'm basically clearing this entire room with just charge. Boom. And there you have it. We have done the vault. And that didn't take... Oh, of course I died. But that didn't take us very long to do. 1 explosion, guys. That's how dangerous it can be. Okay, and we're back. And you got I got 2 pearls of warding there too. So that's how you get those Zoltan's warding. And you get stones, which is awesome. All right, here's the big payoff, guys. We got all 3 we got all 3 bonus chests and the main chest. So let's open them up. This is the best part. Look at the loot. The loot fountain is turned on. Let's go. Alright guys, that was my vault speedrun demo. Let's move on to the build summary next. And guys, one thing I wanted to mention here that I didn't mention before is try and get your hands on the Ancestral Charge aspect. This will increase the damage of your charge significantly. However, if you can't get your hands on it, don't worry about it. Charge is still effective. Alright guys, so for the fundamental and defensive aspects, you can go back to the beginning of the video. I'll chapter them for you and you can see all those there. As for our primary skills, guys, we're going Lunging Stike for our basic attack. Our core ability is Whirlwind. And then all our other abilities are Rally Cry, Challenging Shout, War Cry, and Charge. Expertise, we're going Two-Handed Sword Expertise. As for gems, armor is rubies, weapons are emerald, and as for necklaces and rings, we're going to go skulls. As for the Seneschal, go Flash of Adrenaline and Tempest. As for Paragon, the only 2 glyphs you need to worry about are Exploit and Martial. Alright guys, well that does it for my Spin to Win Whirlwind Barbarian guide. I hope you guys enjoyed. And guys, don't worry about liking and subscribing. If you guys enjoyed today's video or brought you any kind of value, I just appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so much. So guys, I'm going to get back to grinding. I want to get this Barbarian to level 100. I want to try out a Bleed Whirlwind build. Well, hang tight guys. I got more Barbarian builds coming for you in Season 3. I'm your boy Jujiro, signing out for now.